Roснефть is the largest Russian oil and gas corporation among the top 10 leaders of the global energy market. The company accounts for over 40% of oil production in the country and for 6% of the world output. So far, it has produced more than 2.5 billion tons of oil. Rosneft is operating in 78 regions of Russia. Its international portfolio comprises projects in 23 countries related to hydrocarbon extraction, processing, and supply to mature and emerging markets. The company employs a huge resource potential together with large-scale investments and advanced technologies for the benefit of all cooperating parties. In 2019, Rosneft retained the leadership among global public oil companies in terms of reserves and liquid hydrocarbon production, despite the volatility of primary commodity markets against the backdrop of OPEC Plus agreement and temporary limitation of oil delivery to the Transneft trunk pipeline system. The improvement of its business performance is underpinned by the implementation of the Rosneft 2022 strategy. Innovative technologies developed by the company and implemented across the production chain meet the most stringent environmental standards and industrial safety requirements. I'm listening to you, Igor Ivanovich. Let's talk about last year's results. 2019 was quite a positive year for the company. Despite the global market slump and a certain decline in oil prices, about 7%. The business performance results remained positive. Production remained at the previous year level, that is 285.5 million tons of hydrocarbons in oil equivalent. And the average daily production amounted to 5.8 mbpd. This is a very good result, one of the best in the global industry. Rosneft remains the largest tax generator in the country, and its payments to the Treasury made up 1/5 of the federal budget revenues. Net income attributable to the company shareholders increased by almost 1/3 over the year and amounted to 708 billion rubles. The revenue of 8,700 billion rubles was record-breaking over the entire history of Rosneft. At the same time, its financial debt and trading obligations decreased. In 2019, a record-breaking dividend amount of 283 billion rubles was paid to shareholders, 1/4 higher than in 2018. The state share amounted to almost 141 billion. As far as proven hydrocarbon reserves are concerned, Rosneft has been a leader for several years, far ahead of other world industry leaders. SEC reserves amount to 42 billion BOE, thus providing a 20-year safety margin. E&A well testing success rate of almost 90% has been the highest over several recent years. Due to adequate geological exploration with seismic analysis, 23 fields and 258 new deposits were discovered last year, with total reserves amounting to 352 mtoe. In 2019, almost 3,000 new wells were commissioned, 6 out of every 10 wells being so-called horizontal ones. The average output of each was about 9,000 tons of oil, which is 11% larger than last year. Rosneft is the leader of the Russian oil industry in terms of launching high-margin projects. Over the year, production at the company's major projects, launched since 2016, increased by a total of 27%. Another priority of the company is giving a new lease on life to mature fields. New technologies open up new opportunities. Due to investment incentives, the depletion trend at the Samatlow field has been reversed. Production decline was reduced from 5% to 1%. The digital field introduced at Ilyishevsky is the first system in the industry that covers all production and logistical processes. The economic effect is 1 billion rubles a year. the company will scale up that experience. For many years, Roснефть has been using a cluster model of field development. With the Vancor cluster operating efficiently, Erginsky and Danilovsky follow the trend. And on the Taymyr Peninsula, Roснефть is establishing a unique world-class supercluster. This is, in fact, a new oil and gas province of the country. The Vostok oil project, with oil reserves exceeding 5 billion tons, will unlock synergies for the country's economy in the coming 30 years and will provide a 2% GDP growth annually. The proximity to the Northern Sea route opens up the opportunity of supplying raw materials from the project's fields in two directions simultaneously to the European and Asian markets. Ice-class vessels already under construction at the Zvezda state-of-the-art shipyard will enable year-round navigation. The first Russian Aframax tanker was launched. The ice-class vessel of the new generation was named Vladimir Monomakh. The project, which is to become the foundation of the heavy shipbuilding industry of the country, is implemented by a consortium of investors headed by Roснефть. The company entered into an exclusive agreement with Zvezda for the construction of all its new ships there and provided pilot workload to the complex, that is, 28 contracts. In just 2 years, taking into account options, about 60 contracts have been signed. Zvezda will compete with foreign shipyards and provide Russia with a civilian fleet for the development of the Arctic. Roснефть is Russia's largest subsoil user. The company owns over 1/3 of the licenses for exploration and production of hydrocarbons of the entire distributed reserves, including the development of offshore resources. Exploration is underway at most licensed offshore areas of Roснефть in the Arctic, Far Eastern and Southern Seas of Russia. Foreign projects are also successfully developed. The Zohr gas project on the Mediterranean offshore of Egypt achieved its design capacity 2 years after the launch. The gas business is one of the growth points of the company. According to the Roснефть 2022 development strategy, the implementation of major gas production projects will make it possible to occupy a 20% share of the Russian market within 3 years. The Rospan and Karampur projects in West Siberia are among the priority ones. In order to monetize the associated gas, the Sakhalin-1 project shareholders declared their intention to build their own LNG plant with a capacity of 6 million tons. Roснефть is the Russian leading oil refiner. 13 large enterprises in 5 federal districts ensure saturation of the domestic market, including remote regions with high-quality oil products. Over 100 million tons of oil were processed during the year. The company's refineries supply over 35% of motor gasoline and diesel fuel to the market. Roснefть expands its product range with improved operational and environmental properties. Unique Euro 6 gasoline is already available in 9 regions of the country, including Moscow and Moscow region. The oil refining complex in Ufa and the Ryazan Oil Refining Company began the commercial production of high-octane gasoline AI-100K5, the official fuel of the Russian series of closed-circuit race. The Komsomolsk, Achinsk and Syzran refineries and the Ufa group of oil refineries have started the production of low-sulfur marine fuel that meets the new requirements of the International Maritime Organization. In 2019, Roснефть launched the production of domestic hydrotreating catalysts that allow producing fuel of the highest environmental standard. Those catalysts are equal in effectiveness or even better than the world-class foreign analogues, and they resolve the issue of import substitution. Roснefть holds technological leadership due to availability of an in-company research base. There are 29 research and design institutes within the company. Roснефть is a leader in terms of its brand recognition. Its retail business covers 66 geographical regions, being the largest retail site chain in Russia. In 2019, the company completed the acquisition of Petersburg Fuel Company and became one of the leaders of St. Petersburg and the Leningrad region market. Generally, motor fuel retail sales grew 6% over the year. With a mobile application, one can now refuel without leaving the car and also buy associated products in retail side stores. The number of the family team, BP Club and Roснефть loyalty program participants has reached 13.6 million. 45 million cups of hot drinks were sold at the company's retail sites. In 2019, Roснефть sold about 150 million tons of oil outside Russia. Deliveries to the east increased by 35% to 80 million tons. More than half of those were supplied to China.
Наша компания много работает.
Our company works a lot in the Asia-Pacific region. And this is natural because the region is a growth point of energy consumption. We have very good relations with almost all regional centers in the Asia-Pacific region. They are our neighbors: Mongolia, China, Japan, the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore. In total, we supply about 100 million tons of oil to the region annually. Roснефть is active in the rising oil product market in India. The company is a shareholder of Nayara Energy. The consortium manages the fastest-growing retail fuel sales network in India with over 5,000 retail sites. The possibility is being considered to double the refining volumes at Vadana refinery. Roснefть is the third largest player in the German oil refining market, a shareholder of 3 oil refineries in that country. Oil products from those enterprises are sold both directly and through dozens of German shipping terminals. High-quality gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, bitumen, fuel oil, petrochemicals are available to customers throughout Europe. The activity of Roснефть is an example of a socially responsible business. The company constructs housing, infrastructure, medical centers, supports educational, cultural, and sports programs. Roснефть strictly adheres to 17 UN goals in the field of sustainable development. Among those are trouble-free production, labor safety, nature conservation for future generations. Green investments in 2019 amounted to 35 billion rubles. 2019 was a landmark year in terms of the environmental agenda. The company achieved one of the industry best performance indicators in terms of specific carbon dioxide emissions. Roснефть reduced fugitive methane emissions by over 70%. As far as APG utilization is concerned, it achieved a level of above 90% for mature assets. The plans include continuing efforts aiming at improving its rational use and entering the first quartile of international companies in specific greenhouse gas emissions. Roснefть has become the best Russian company in the leading international CDP ratings in climate and water categories. It was included in the FTSE4Good Index, with performance in environmental protection, social responsibility and management. At year-end, Roснефtь performance in terms of transparency in the disclosure of information was better than that of most oil and gas companies in the world, according to Bloomberg and Refinitiv ratings. In the regions covered by Roснефtь operations, the company is implementing a biodiversity conservation program. It arranges large-scale scientific expeditions, including the study of the polar bear, Atlantic walrus and reindeer population, and rare bird species. Roснефть supports the Black Sea Dolphin Research Program. Roснeftь provides financing to the CSKA Hockey Club, sponsors the International Sambo Federation and the Lada Sport Roснефть racing team. Roснeftь supports the projects that become the highlight of the world culture. In 2019, the tour of the Britain Shostakovich Festival Orchestra, created with the support of Roснефть and BP, was a great success in Russia and in the UK. The Pushkin Museum hosted an exhibition of the works of the English painter Thomas Gainsborough. And in the Hermitage, a permanent exhibition of antique artifacts is now operating, supported by the company. Rosneft was also the general sponsor of the final series of the legendary animated film Umka. The core value of Rosneft is its people. Any successes, any achievements of the company are the success and achievements of a huge work team, ready for new challenges, for new breakthroughs, for the good of Russia.